Hey, cross players, I just wanted to take a quick second and apologize for the audio quality in this episode. We just got two mics and we're learning, growing pains. So there's a lot of times in this episode where there might be some cross-contamination. You might hear my voice or Chris's voice doubled. I just wanted to say we know that it's there. We're working on it. We're trying to fix it. But we wanted to get this episode out to you guys. So we apologize for the audio quality, but we still hope you enjoy, and it'll be better next time. Let's get the episode started. Hello and welcome to episode 5 of the Crossplay Podcast. My name is Nicky James, here alongside Chris.
What's up, guys?
And we are here today to talk about all the nerdy news you need to know about. But first, a bit of housekeeping, guys. I wanted to take a second to thank our good friend Zach. He went out of his way, went out of his wallet, and bought
Zachariah, if you will.
And bought us a nice mixer that we need to get our show growing and getting better and sounding better.
That's right, Nick. Oh, sorry. Also, I spoke over you a few times. Did you notice that? You know why I did that? Because we also have two mics now.
Two mics! Bow, 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 bow!
But wait, not to take away from Zach. Zach, thank you very much. This mixer looks awesome.
It looks awesome. It looks like it's going to operate real well. I got a lot of learning to do, but it's a huge step that we needed, and it's great. It helps me feel like we should keep going to have that kind of support. So thank you, Zach.
For sure.
Guys, if you are interested in what we're saying, these kind of stories, if you like this nerd stuff we cover, you can find all of our stories on our blog at nickyjamestudios.wordpress.com. And if you'd like to support us on Patreon, you could do that at www.patreon.com/crossplayentertainment. You could also find us on Twitter. Talk to us there. We're really active there. Chris is super active on Twitter.
Every day, like 10 times a day.
Over at Crossplay Pod. So you can find us at Crossplay Pod on Twitter. One last bit of housekeeping, guys. We are doing a giveaway when we reach 50 subscribers on YouTube. Right now, we're sitting around the 30s, so we're really close, guys. So all you got to do to win is be subscribed. So go tell your friends, get some free stuff, and we're going to keep doing giveaways. As we get bigger, so do the prizes. So, yeah, winner gets 3 free months of their choice of either Xbox Live or PlayStation Plus, and a copy of Battlefield 1 on the Xbox One. So again, all you gotta do to win is be subscribed, so get subscribed.
Yeah, and if you want us to get on with this, go ahead and share this video on your Facebook page, on your Twitter, whatever it is you use, share it.
And you can find us on all podcasting platforms, Stitcher, Google Play, Apple, any podcast app, we're there. How you been, Chris? How's today been for you?
Today's been long. It's been a pretty long day. What time is it now?
It's 4. It's now 4.
Man.
We wanted to record at noon, and it is now 4, and we barely starting. As we were going to start recording, my laptop decided to do an update. Yes. And the update took about 2.5 hours or something. But we're here now, so we're here. We're happy. I watched basketball for the first time.
Is that Will Ferrell?
No, that's Trey Parker and Matt Stone, South Park guys.
Oh, I haven't seen that. Is that like a 90s movie?
It's 1998. It's where they blend basketball and baseball.
Yeah. And
make a sport out of it. Man, it is a good movie.
Really?
I've never seen it. It just kind of escaped me my whole childhood.
Are they the stars of it, or are they?
Yeah, they're the two main characters, and they're these two stoners that basically start their own sport. It's really cool. It's really hilarious, and it's so 90s. It is such a footprint of the 90s, like the hair, the acting, the shot style of it. There's a scene when I thought it couldn't get any more 90s. It cuts to a scene and it pans across Real Big Fish playing a live show.
Doesn't get any more 90s than Real Big Fish.
So basketball, if you haven't seen it, it's great. Go find it. It's out on Stars right now if you have that. If not, you could pirate it, but I don't recommend that.
Hey. Nothing. I just wanted to say hey.
Let's get into some news.
Seth Rollins has recently tweeted the very first image of WWE 2K18.
That's right.
I don't like doing that voice. Very first image, we finally see 2K18 in all its new lighting and skin physics glory. What did you think of it?
It looks great. These early screenshots, every year they look this good.
That's true.
This isn't to say that he looks a lot better in the screenshots that were released around this time last year.
The screenshot was of himself Very narcissistic.
Of himself getting in the ring, just his upper body. Yeah, he looked great. I really don't have any complaints. What people tend to do on like Reddit and stuff is they want you to think that this game looks so good. So what they'll do is be like, oh, compare this to 2K17, and they'll put a screenshot side by side, but they'll cherry pick an ugly ass screenshot of Seth Rollins, you know?
Right.
So yeah, I think it looks great though. We're getting to that exciting time of year for WWE 2K fans like me, where the information just starts trickling out. It's very exciting.
Also, I think WWE 2K18 possibly going to Switch. Do you hear about that?
Yeah, not too happy about that. Unless I had a Switch. If I have a Switch, I'd love that.
So you're just not happy for yourself?
Yeah, it's definitely a selfish.
Is it going to be like, like a standalone title, or is it going to be just like a port? Or
remember when SmackDown vs. Raw used to come out on the Wii
or the Vita,
and then it was just a super stripped down version?
Is that what you think?
I think that's what it's going to be. 2K has had a really hard time managing the glitches and the problems just on console side. They already neglect the PC audience, so adding another console that is a lot weaker than everything else. Man, I don't know. Like one morning I woke up and I read a news story that made me really happy. It said 2K no longer on last gen consoles. WWE 2K no longer on last gen consoles. That made me really happy because I was like, great. Right. Now they can focus on PS4 and Xbox and make those better. But then I immediately heard right afterwards, but they're also having it come out on the Switch. And it's like, oh, well, that kind of puts us back to square one. Now we're still holding the hand of an older console.
I see what you're saying. And it does divert resources to have a team that's devoted to Switch.
Which are sorely needed for a game that buggy.
And it will be buggy.
And did you hear about 8 players in the ring at the same time?
I don't really know how I feel about that, man. Whenever we do like a 6-man, which, maybe we try it after this. Do another 6-man, see how it goes. But usually it's pretty chaotic. Especially if you have any type of weapons involved.
But the reason the 6-man, like, I know you're thinking of like a 6-man Hell in a Cell or a 6-man Falls Count Anywhere or whatever. Those aren't fun because of the dynamics in the game. Like, it's just not fun because you can't make it elimination 6-man. You know what I mean? Imagine an 8-man match, but elimination in a Hell in a Cell would be way more fun because who cares if someone else gets the pin because you still are in the game.
That seems so basic. Like, why isn't that already an option? I mean...
Man, don't even get me started. There are so many missing match types, missing features. It
just seems like there is not a lot of true wrestling game fans maybe working over there, because sometimes the things that are missing, you're just like, well, huh?
Well, 2K's done a lot over the last few years to really narrow down their not narrow down, but streamline how they make their sports games, and they're all kind of the same now. NBA, they all kind of feel the same. Right. They do the My Player, now they're going to do My Wrestler, whatever they're calling it, My Career.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a bad thing about 2K taking over, is everything kind of gets homogenized, and you don't really get the No Mercies anymore.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I love the WWE 2K games, so they've only been getting better.
Well, sticking with WWE, Eva Marie recently got future endeavored.
Yeah, I heard it was like a mutual.
It was mutual. She announced that the goodbye was bittersweet. However, it was a mutual between her and the WWE. Did you hear what Rusev said about her?
I did.
Well, not about her. Basically, just trolling her whole leaving the company thing. He's so he tweets, "Hate to see legends retire." And it's like, wow. But I guess it's, from what I understand, it's really echoing a lot of the sentiments that you're hearing from fans and wrestlers that this chick was.
Bye, Felicia.
Undeserving of where she was at. Hardly wrestled.
Yeah, a lot of people say she had heat backstage.
Right.
No respect from anybody. So yeah, I'm not surprised this happened. Glad to see her go.
Props to Rusev.
Yeah, props to
I always
Rusev
kind of had like a
for laying down the shit talk
vision or view of him, but this kind of changes that. So
he's a beautiful, handsome, wonderful man. I love you, baby, big baby Ruben.
Right. Also, John Cena took a really bad bump on SmackDown. We saw the video of that before we got started. It's scary when people land on their heads, man.
What had happened was towards the end of the match, and Shinsuke was reversing.
I hate that guy's name. Is it Shinsuke or is it Shinsuke?
It's spelled Shinsuke or Shinsuke, like Shin Suke, but it's pronounced Shinsuke.
Like, it reminds me of Stinsky. Or what is it?
Snitsky?
Snitsky.
No, he is a far cry from Snitsky.
That's what it reminds me. Okay, go on.
No, but Shinsuke was he reversed the attitude adjustment, Snitsky, and then he was going to do a back body drop on John Cena, but he threw John Cena too hard. John Cena landed directly on his head before his body even hit.
Yeah,
and it was a really ugly spill. I was worried when I watched it live.
It was a bad bump. It looked very scary, but I think John looked okay in the end there. I mean, he did continue the match.
Well, adrenaline's a hell of a thing.
Right. He
might have been feeling it later.
Yeah, that's very true. So yeah, I'm just glad. I haven't heard anything else as far as like him being, any more injured than that, or so hopefully he's all right. Guess we'll find out soon. PlayerUnknown Battleground, a game I am so looking forward to.
Okay, I know next to nothing about this game. What is it about? What's the premise? Give me the elevator pitch on PlayerUnknown.
I might be not the best person to give that pitch, but from what I understand, it's it's real life warfare. You're going to start in a map with nothing. You're going to have to go and find your very first weapon.
So looting, a loot fest.
It can be several hours between, or before any type of fight ever breaks out. But it's very realistic, open world.
Right.
And it's just something that looks very appealing to me. But the news I was going to hit on today regarding this was that it recently surpassed 500,000 concurrent players, meaning players that are trying to play at one time.
Yeah, players on all like in unison. Now that's crazy because I had just heard a couple weeks ago that they had recently beat a lot of big games in that. I'm trying to look it up right now as I talk.
I believe one of them was Dota. What else do we got? I believe it's on track to possibly surpass Counter-Strike Global.
Oh, and that's a huge game.
Which I think, if I'm not mistaken, was around. It started to flatline around 523,000. Don't quote me on that. Somewhere around there.
Quote him.
Quoted.
Quoted. Yeah, I can't find the numbers I was looking for, but it was crawling around Grand Theft Auto 5 and huge titles. It was in big company.
And it's been out, I believe it's been released since March.
Okay. Now, what platforms is it on?
PC right now, I believe.
Just PC.
Just PC.
Coming to
Xbox One. I'm not sure about PS4. But yes, coming to Xbox One. And 6.2 million copies sold since March.
Man.
This game is, it's going to do magical things.
So, all right. Well, I'm looking forward to it. It's something to keep an eye on for sure.
A game, I'm not going to say similar because it's actually very different. Titanfall 2. I played it. I liked it. I'm always a fan of, the sci-fi type shooters. I know you're not always, but
I've been opening up to them over the years.
Right, I never really pictured you ever playing Overwatch, but you touch that once in a while. So
yeah, I enjoy Overwatch. I'd play it every day if I owned it. But Jose refuses to buy it, so I can mooch it off of him.
Typical.
What was I saying? I was too busy ragging on Jose.
Okay, yeah, Titanfall 2.
Oh yeah, I installed it. I just uninstalled it actually, but I played through about half of it. It's a really well made game, really streamlined and really fun. Again, I'm kind of not as inclined to stay hooked on those sci-fi shooters, but the wall running and all that was awesome. So.
Yeah, now it's funny that you say that because I remember when the Xbox One was announced at E3 way back when.
Mm-hmm. And that is the day I stopped being an Xbox fan.
And it's funny because Titanfall was one of the games announced. I believe it was launch title. And one of the things you said was one of the first things you said to me was that what turned you off to Titanfall was the wall running and the jetpacks.
Yeah. Yeah, and it did, and it's still a feature I wish wasn't in the game.
But didn't you say you really liked it?
No, I said it was well executed. It was well done, but it's just.
Do you think it makes for a good dynamic?
It's kind of akin to. It's overused. It's akin to Ubisoft and their, hey, look, here's another game where you climb shit and fight and tame animals. Ubisoft. Far Cry 3, Far Cry 4, Far Cry Blood Dragon, Assassin's Creed. The last 3 Assassin's Creed games. the next Assassin's Creed game, they all have these overused Ubisoft mechanics of you climb tall shit to reveal the map, then you can tame animals. And there's a lot more than just those two examples, but it's kind of the same thing here is what I feel like.
Well, the developer is saying that apparently they feel it should have sold more.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I feel like I didn't make my point very well. So about the wall running thing, it's been overused the last few years. From Call of Duty to this, it's just I feel like it's a feature that when I hear you wall run in a shooting game, it makes me kind of roll my eyes.
I believe Call of Duty had one game that had it.
They had Black Ops 3 or something that had it, or they've had more than one game.
Black Ops 3.
There's definitely been more than one game that has wall running,
but
just an overused mechanic. So yeah, the developers are saying that it undersold.
Well, no. They're saying it should have sold more. They're saying that the game was successful, that they're happy with the sales, but however they feel it should have sold more.
And they know why, right?
Well, they're saying that they feel the pricing was a little aggressive, and also probably one of the bigger things was the release window was cramped.
Wait, what's that about pricing? How was their pricing aggressive?
You know, he didn't really elaborate. He literally I'll quote him saying, pricing was aggressive and the release window was cramped.
Was it a $60 release?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh, how was that aggressive?
That's right on track usually.
Yeah, that's weird. No, the nail in the coffin for Titanfall 2 was the release window. I'm going to look up what came out around that time, if you don't mind.
Yeah, we weren't able to get that. But as far as pricing, I mean, I think a $60 price tag for Titanfall 2 was fine. I am a little worried, though, because it seems like, I mean, it hasn't been out that long, and they just recently put it up on EA Access already.
Yeah, because I think they kind of realized that they got what they're going to get out of that game, and they need to cut their losses. And putting it on EA Access is a good way to boost your online player base.
Right.
And it's a good way to get people to start liking the franchise for free and be really invested in Titanfall 3, because there will be a Titanfall 3.
Right.
But I want to get more to that release window, because I remember when that happened, before it even came out, I was like, they're going to drown in all the other releases. Let's see, I got pulled something up here. Let's see, they're looking at August. I don't want to look at August. Came out in October. So for October, here's some of the good games that came out in October. Not all of them. Mafia 3, Metal Gear Solid 5, Definitive Experience. Let's see. Rise of the Tomb Raider, Gears of War 4, WWE 2K17. That's why I wasn't playing it.
Yeah.
Batman Arkham VR. A lot of VR games. That's when VR became popular last year.
Was there a Call of Duty?
I think there was.
Like maybe a holiday time, November-ish?
Yeah, like this is a long list of every single game. Oh, Battlefield 1 came out.
There you go.
The same day as Titanfall 2. That's the killer. That's your killer right there.
Yeah, and speaking of Battlefield, I mean, they just recently surpassed, they had a huge player.
And the Skyrim Special Edition for PS4 Next Gen came out that day.
Yeah, so definitely the release window, bad timing.
Yeah, if they would have released it, just
not a bad game.
Wait 3 more months, release it in March.
Right.
And that's when it's a snooze fest, and they could have improved the game a little more, and
Right. Well, that's pretty much all I have for news, but I want to just give a quick shout out to a game that we mentioned on the podcast last week, which was a free game released for the Xbox One, which was Slime Rancher.
Hell yeah, Slime Rancher.
Freaking fun ass time with that game.
If you want to talk about it, go ahead. If not, I could talk about that game for a minute. So.
No, I'm just ending the news by letting everyone know before this game gets taken off for free, because they will take it off for free and they will start charging you for it. Go pick it up. It's worth it. It's fun.
Well, Slime Rancher is actually one of my topics for today.
Yeah, but did you want to do that now, or did you want to wait until...
Well, let's do it now because I can get it out of the way. There's not much to say other than I really like it. You guys should get it. It's free if you have Xbox Gold right now, Xbox Live Gold. It's kind of like a bit of Harvest Moon with a bit of Viva Pinata and like just a dash of like a game like Tropico. What it is you're on a ranch and you upgrade yourself, you upgrade your corrals, and you collect these slimes which act as animals, and you just basically start your own farm and you upgrade everything. It's got that Minecraft mechanic of I just need to do one more thing. And then you do that thing, and you're like, okay, I just need to do one more thing, and I'll stop.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I got that feeling last night while playing it that I get while playing Tropico or Minecraft, where it's like, I have to stop.
Yeah.
Or I will be sitting here till 7 a.m.
Yes.
It's a dangerously addictive game. If you get past the first hour or so, it really opens up. So,
and one thing I want to mention too is just the beautiful animation in that game. The colors.
The color is very Acme, very like cartoon. Or
it's very cartoony, but it's the vibrancy of the colors, especially when you get into areas like the I think it's called the mosh pit. No, not mosh pit.
Mosh pit.
There's no mosh pit there.
Violent area.
The moss pit. Anyways, there's different areas that the colors really stand out, and it can be a really pretty game. So yeah, shout out Slime, pick it up.
Go pick it up. Monomi Studios.
That's what I'm going to be doing after I get home.
Literally. This is what we're doing all night. Screw editing this podcast.
I really wish there was a multiplayer aspect so you and I could play together. Hopefully Slime Rancher 2. We'll see.
All right. So, I wanted to talk about a new YouTube Red show called... Well, I don't know if it has a name yet, but it's a reboot of the Karate Kid series that focuses on Cobra Kai using the original actors. The actor that played... What's his name? From the movie, but the actors from the actors from the movie are coming back. It looks interesting. The funny thing is it's listed as a comedy in YouTube Red. Karate Kid is not a comedy.
No, drama, right?
So it'll be interesting. Keep an eye out for that. We've been following it on IO9, so they're posting a lot of updates. You can also find updates on our blog, NickyJamesStudios.wordpress.com.
Dude, those hoagies smell so good.
Yeah, we got food waiting, and we're dying.
You guys are about to hear, like, me eating a hoagie on mic.
I wanted to talk about games that keep on giving. Now, what I mean by that is games that do a really good job of supporting supporting the player base post-release. By that, I mean Rainbow Six Siege, Overwatch, The Witcher. I mean, even though that was paid DLC, it was... added about 40 hours to your gameplay for $15.
Speaking of that, Microsoft just released a pretty big update for Halo 5. I mean, how many years has it been since Halo? They're still...
Halo 5?
Yeah, Halo 5.
Didn't that just come out like a year ago?
No,
what was the newest one? Halo 5 Guardians, right?
Yeah, that was...
Oh, okay.
Hasn't that been longer than that?
I don't know. Time flies when you're getting older and dying. Maybe it was a couple years ago.
Maybe I'm thinking of a different game then. Anyways, Microsoft is still supporting Halo.
Well, what Ubisoft does with Rainbow Six, for those of you that don't know, is like my main game. I play it more than any other game I've played on PlayStation. And Ubisoft has done a really good job at supporting that game, at seeing the response from the community and responding to that response. The game didn't have high expectations when it came out, and it had an incredibly slow growth rate, but it was steady. And it's done nothing but grow and grow. So once they saw that it was growing, what they started doing was supporting it by adding free new characters, free new maps, by constantly tweaking and fixing anything wrong with the game. And they have an amazing way of communicating with their players through their forums. They're active on Reddit, the developers. So it's a really good community, and it's really cool to see a developer care this much about a product and not just throw it away and make Rainbow Six 2.
Right.
Another good example is Rocket League. That's a game that's been out for, 3 years now. And
wow.
Do you know how easy it would have been for them to be like, all right, we made our millions.
Yeah.
All right, shut it down. Let's make Rocket League 2. And then shelve that for $40, which people would have bought. And then just rape their audience with like microtransactions and things like that. They could have kept doing that. But no, they stood their ground, and they're still supporting Rocket League. And it's one of the biggest esports titles around now.
Right. And we have a bunch of Let's Plays coming out of Rocket League.
Yeah, we marathoned a season the other day. It's so funny. It was a really good series of episodes. You guys should watch it. They're going up this week, the first week of August. So check it out. 2 videos a day.
How do you like the PS4 controller for Rocket League? The joysticks moving around. Has it?
I'm totally fine with the PS4 controller for Rocket League.
Is there any
In fact, I think it's better than... Well, okay, if you compare it to Xbox, they're the same because they both control the same, they both feel the same. There's no quality loss in the actual structure of the controller. They feel the same. But the one difference is on the DualShock 4, it has a built-in speaker. And I know that's corny, but when it's the only difference, and it's the only difference that you like, it's cool, because things like when you block a goal or when you make a goal or do things, your speaker and your controller play sounds, and it's a cool little neat gimmick.
Yeah, but I don't know if that's the only difference, because to me, the way, first of all, I wouldn't say that they feel the same. Yes, quality-wise, they're probably very similar. But I think the Xbox controller and the PS4 controller sit in your hand very differently. The feel of holding those things in your hand are two very distinct things. They just feel different. And also the speaker is a noticeable difference, but for me the biggest difference is the joystick placement. Where the D-pad is on the PlayStation, it's up above on the left-hand side of the controller, and then you have the two joysticks near the bottom of the controller closer together. Whereas on the Xbox, you have the D-pad opposite there. It's below the joystick, and the joystick's above it on the left-hand side. For me, when I pick up the controller, any controller, even when I pick up the PS4 controller, my thumb, that's where it's at. It's not down here. When I pick up the controller, my thumb's here. My thumb's not here. So for me, this feels more natural.
See, because you're holding it like it's an Xbox controller, because it's all you're used to is Xbox controllers.
Well, like this, because the way if you hold it like a PlayStation controller,
the way both controllers are built, they're built perfectly. The way a PlayStation 4 controller is built, when you grip it, your hands instantly come here they both kind of center. Because that's how you meant to grab it. That's ergonomically how it's designed. Right. Now, with an Xbox controller, your hands are a little more like this, like in a V shape as you hold it. So that means your thumbs are going to be offset. So it's just designed for that.
But I do feel like I have better control over the thumbstick in this position rather than in this position. Because here I feel like my thumb is moving in a more natural state, I guess, whereas if I'm moving forward, my thumb is pushing the stick forward, where if I'm holding this way, it seems like I'm more pushing it up.
I get what you're saying. Yeah,
and it really only makes a difference for shooters for me.
Yeah, no, there's no argument that the Xbox controller is better for shooters just because of the triggers. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of debate between Sony and Microsoft's controller, and I think people commonly mistake being different with being worse. The PS4 controller is not worse, it's just different. It's the joystick placement is where it's supposed to be for when you grab it, just like the Xboxes. But you do make a good point about the Xbox joystick it is a little higher on the controller, right?
Right.
Yeah, and so when you push up on it to move forward, it feels more natural, whereas on the PlayStation 4, you're more pushing down and up. Down into the button and then up. But again, I've never felt uncomfortable using a Sony controller. My problem with Sony controllers, at least in the beginning, in around 2014 and 15, was their build quality. They were built like shit. They were constantly falling apart. The rubber on the joysticks was falling off. The battery life is egregious at like 10 hours, where the Xbox One is like 40.
Now, are you talking the PS4 controllers now or at the beginning of the...
I'm talking about how they were at the beginning. Not much has changed. No. Though they make the joysticks out of better rubber, so that doesn't happen anymore.
Do they have the option to turn that light off so it doesn't kill your battery?
You have the option to dim it a lot, but it's needed. So it's like it's needed for the function of the controller.
Okay.
So you can dim it a lot, but the problem is they put in a crap battery, so it's got really low battery life. The triggers originally for a lot of people, including me, were breaking. Do you remember when my PS4 triggers broke?
Yep.
For people that weren't doing anything wrong. So their build quality was garbage for about 3 years, and I think they've stepped up their game. So it's about time.
What's next on the list here?
Let's see. Oh, we're talking about the Xbox One X and Sony's response to it.
Well, I think last night when you and I were talking about this. We actually kind of touched on it a little bit in the last podcast when we, brought up basically the One X being Microsoft's response to the gaming community at the time, and has that changed or not? But what I want to know is, what do you think is going to be Sony's response to this this new juggernaut console?
So for those of you that aren't aware, Chris is more of an Xbox guy, more of a Sony guy. So keep that bias in mind when listening to our opinions. But my response is I think Sony's going to stay the course because they're so far ahead of Xbox right now. If the Xbox One X were to sell like gangbusters for a few years, they're still not going to touch Sony in terms of hardware units sold.
Now, do you think that the community will... I personally really think that the One X is a direct response from Microsoft from listening to the community saying we want a more powerful console.
See, I think we split there. You think the Xbox One X is a response to the community complaints, basically, or community criticisms about the
criticisms?
Xbox?
Yeah.
I don't think that's the case at all. I think the Xbox One X is a direct response to how badly they're getting beat, and so they have to make a drastic next step in order to start beating Sony. And that they made a drastic step.
Right, but why are they being beat? That's the thing.
They're being
beat because Sony was a more powerful console and it was cheaper. And I mean, that's really what I mean.
No, they were beat because Sony was released first. They were also beat, and this is a huge thing people tend to forget, is that Microsoft said fuck you to everyone at E3, and they lost a lot of their fan base, including me. I am literally the guy who only owned an Xbox 360, and that day when I watched E3, I said to myself, I'm done with Xbox, and I never bought an Xbox One. My wife ended up buying me one for Christmas this year, but it largely collects dust, unless I'm playing Slime Rancher. So, it came out sooner. Mm-hmm. It was cheaper, it was more powerful, and Sony didn't go and piss off everyone at E3. So they came into this console generation looking good. There's only two reasons to buy an Xbox One at launch. You're a fanboy, or you really love the first person or the first party games. Yeah. That's the only reason. But any logical person that doesn't take that into account is going to say, "Oh, I'm going to get the cheaper, faster, more powerful system." So, and the one that's more available.
Unless you were someone like me that just didn't really like a lot of Sony games.
Well, no, that again goes to what I'm saying about you were the guy that likes the first-party games. So that's probably why you went with an Xbox One, knowing it was the more expensive, weaker console. But because you really like the first-party games.
But for me, the power of the console, people are going to say, oh, it was the weaker console, and let's shine it in that light.
It was not. It was the games.
But
Sony had better games.
For me, that wasn't an issue because the Xbox 360. I mean, I think wasn't the PS3 more powerful than the Xbox 360?
Yeah, it was. It was only in the way that it could show more colors on screen.
It could look better.
Slightly, very, very. It's not like the difference between Xbox One and PS4.
But I'm just saying, that didn't make a difference to me back then. It didn't make a difference to me now. I did it. I chose my console based on games. I did actually buy a PS4 at one point and, played some games. But they were games that I couldn't get on my Xbox. I couldn't not get on my Xbox. And again, it was really a games issue for me. But as far as how Sony should respond to the One X, I think they would be smart to do what you said, which is not respond.
Yeah, that's what they're going to do, I think, and they're just going to stay the course. They're going to let the PS4 Pro ride out for a few more years, and then they're going to have a PS5 that's going to be much more powerful than the Xbox One X. And then what happens is Xbox has now fucked themselves because now their console is even less powerful than the console that's now out, and now they've only had the One X out for a couple of years. So do they abandon the One X and go and make a new powerful one?
I think that Microsoft has made it very clear that they could care less what Sony does for its console generation. So if Sony decides to keep going with the generational thing, fine. Microsoft has said we're done with generations. There's no more generations. Microsoft is saying Microsoft may release an update to the Xbox One X in 2 or 3 years, very quickly.
And Nintendo did the same thing when they started failing. They were like, "Oh, we're not failing. We're not trying to keep up with them anymore. We're not the same type of competition. We're doing different things. They're doing their thing." And that's kind of what Xbox is starting to do.
I just think they're trying to take that timeline restriction off of themselves.
What do you mean?
As far as a console has to come out, and then last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and then you can release a new console. Microsoft, I think, is saying, you know what? We're going to listen to what the gamers are saying. We're going to listen to what developers are saying. And if they need more, we're going to develop more. We're going to create more in the One X. We're not going to wait until 8 years, 9 years, 10 years down the line. We're not going to wait because people don't want us to wait. So that's what I think they're doing. And I can understand how you see it as, we're what do you call it? They're only doing it because they're failing. It's a move of desperation, I guess you would say.
No, I don't say that.
But I just don't see it that way. I think Microsoft should have listened. I think they should have stuck to their guns at E3 when they were doing a lot of the online stuff, a lot of the not the DRM stuff, but they did get rid of the DRM requirements. But as far as the Kinect and as far as all that stuff, because they really, I think, were ahead of the curve as far as what the Xbox can do as far as beyond games. They started pulling back on it because of the community, but then the community started going that way anyways because they're a bunch of dumbasses, most of them anyways, well, the loud ones. And this community started going that way anyways. The direction Microsoft was saying, this is the way we're thinking.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean? Because I don't think
as
that
far
happened.
as like Microsoft, for instance, wanted to go like digital only with games. You remember that? Before the Xbox One was announced at E3, there was a lot of talk from Microsoft about possibly getting rid of hard copies of games. Okay, because they were saying, people, you know what, guys, you guys are consuming digital more anyways. And it is true.
But you're not considering that's a stupid move to go digital only.
They didn't.
For the next, it's a stupid idea to even say out loud for the next 10 years because
it's gonna happen.
Because not everyone.
Mark my words, said right here on Crossplay, it will happen.
It won't. It won't.
It may not be 5 years from now, but it will happen.
It won't happen within the next 10 years, and I'll tell you why. Because not everyone lives in Southern California like we do and has mega internet. The majority of the U.S., vast majority, has shitty internet where they can't download a 55 gigabyte game, and they're only going to get bigger. And a lot of people, especially in Canada, the whole country of Canada has bandwidth caps. So are they going to waste half their bandwidth for the month downloading Battlefield 4?
Well, I'm sure they'll think of ways around that, but I really feel that's the way it's going. I don't buy DVDs anymore, HD DVDs, Blu-rays.
And I agree with you. We're on the same page there, but you're saying it's going to happen soon, and I'm saying
games too. I can't tell you the last time I bought a hard copy of a game. Why?
Because of your living situation, because of where you live, it's not necessary. But you're not everybody.
I'm not everybody, but I probably will be the majority eventually, especially as internet access becomes more widely available, speeds become better.
Yeah, but probably and eventually is different than what's happening now. So if they're saying we want to start getting rid of discs in the next 10 years, they know that people live in the boondocks and don't have good internet and they can't afford that kind of thing. So digital discs will still be a thing in my mind for at least another 15, 20 years. But now whether it's Blu-ray or
how long it's going to be, I don't know. But I do think that digital will be the way to get your games. Now they are. You don't have to go to a store. Sometimes you can get them cheaper.
I'm not defending physical copies. I know I don't buy physical discs either. Everything I have is downloaded, but I just know that everyone's not me. It's a different thing for everybody. So I don't think discs are going to go anywhere. I think we both agree that they will eventually, just like we don't see 8-tracks anymore, cassettes.
Exactly.
It's an outdated
that's what
technology.
I'm saying. It's inevitable. And that's why I said Microsoft may have been ahead of their curve at the time, but I think they should have just stuck with it because now they're releasing the One X, and you're going to have a bunch of people that, if this console with these specs, with this price would have been announced back then, would have shit themselves over it. But now you have a bunch of stuck-up, entitled fanboys that are going to shun the console for probably no good reason. They'll claim there's no games for it.
There won't be.
People tell me all the time that
there's no games.
That's the thing. People tell me all the time, there's no games for the Xbox One. Why do you have an Xbox One? I have never had an issue finding something to play on my Xbox One. What do you
play other than Overwatch? Let's be honest. Overwatch takes up probably more than half of your Xbox.
Obviously I play a lot of Overwatch. I've been playing a lot of Slime Ranch. This is why, this is a topic we're going to get to later about AAAs. I think are completely overrated. I could give a crap about AAAs because half the time, topic now. I know, but I'm just saying, half the time I'm sitting there playing something like Slime Rancher or Grow Up or Injustice 2. I think half the time you're playing Overwatch. And Injustice 2 is a AAA game. One AAA game. Okay, but and
Overwatch.
But I'm saying there's tons of Life is Strange, a total indie title that played the crap out of it.
And it's the exception, not the rule.
What else? Stop playing Halo. Right now, it's Slime Rancher, Grow Up, Overwatch, and some Injustice. So my point being, though, is I've never sat down and said, "Fuck, I have nothing to play." That has never happened. I don't get where people have the time to sit down and play through that many fucking games where they sit there and say Xbox has no games.
When people say Xbox has no games, they mean exclusives. Because we all have games that are shared between consoles. But guess what? Nobody fucking liked Sunset Overdrive.
I liked it.
No one's talking about it anymore.
I don't. Okay.
It's not. It left. I
don't care if they're talking about it.
No footprint on the gaming
point
industry.
is that I had a good time with it, despite what everyone said. Everyone says it sucks. Everyone says it's not a good game.
Okay.
Lo and behold, I downloaded it and I had, a few days. Yeah, I didn't play it for months and months, but I had some good times with it. I can't say it was a bad game.
Okay, well that's you. I think it was generally regarded as a letdown.
I just really don't understand how people say that Xbox has no games.
The developers that were working on it abandoned the sequel. So I don't know. It wasn't a very good game, but anyways, and it comes down to preference. I don't give a shit about Gears of War. I think Halo is a shit game. And I'm not into those games. But I am into The Last of Us. I am into Uncharted. I am into Horizon Zero Dawn. I am into Bloodborne. I am into those types of games. So naturally for me, that's where I'm going to, float to. And that's basically why we need two separate consoles with doing two separate things so people have choices. Choices are always good for a consumer.
Yeah, and I don't think it's bad that, that Microsoft taking the time constraints off of as far as generations go, because I think consoles should be treated more like PCs because that's what they are.
So to get us back on track, we kind of got off track here. Sony's response to the One X is nothing. They're going to keep doing what they're doing, and they're going to eventually release the PlayStation 5, which is going to be markedly more powerful than the Xbox One X. And then it's probably going to eventually just get down to a point where their cycles become different. Where now...
Well, that's exactly what it's going to be. But the thing is that Microsoft won't be stuck to where, oh no, they just released the PlayStation 5, but now we have to wait 5 years. No, they'll release the PlayStation 5. Microsoft will know it's coming, and the next year will be the One X 2 or whatever stupid name they gave to it.
They won't do that because...
That's my opinion.
Because if they do that, you got to understand, there's a customer base to worry about. So if you're putting out different SKUs every 3 years to keep up with Sony...
They've already figured that out. If you watch the Microsoft press conference at E3, it's all going to be compatible across the line. You're getting upgrades. You're not getting different consoles. Microsoft, they're going to position themselves to where Sony can come out with the PS5 if they want, but Microsoft will be in a position to upgrade their console and not come out with a new one, upgrade it to make it better. That's just my position. That's just my opinion.
If they're doing this Xbox One X in an attempt to sway people away from Sony,
they're not. No.
It's misguided.
And see, that's a mindset a lot of people have. It's all about Microsoft versus Sony. It's all about sales numbers. Well, for us gamers, it should not be about that. If you are choosing a console based on sales numbers, you have a fanboy mindset.
Nobody does that.
Many
at least
people
nobody
do
at this
that.
Table does that.
No, we don't. But many people do that.
Okay, well, those people are idiots, so we shouldn't even be talking about them.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
We're talking about the people that know how to make wise gaming choices. What is cheaper, what is more available, what is more powerful, what has the exclusives I like. That's all it boils down to. So for me, what was this is not opinion, it's fact. What was cheaper, faster, more powerful was the PlayStation 4. And then for me, I personally don't care about Gears of War or Halo or any of the exclusives. I can't think of one Xbox exclusive I really like. But on PlayStation, there's a handful. So for me, I went to PlayStation.
It's not hard to think why you can't think of any exclusive. You didn't own an Xbox.
I've owned one for a while, and I've connected with Jose's account.
So there's no games you like. There is not one.
I played Titanfall 2. That wasn't even exclusive. No, I played Sunset Overdrive for about 6 hours. Threw it away.
He pulled it out of the Xbox and threw it in the dumpster. People.
Yeah, got rid of it.
And then he set it on fire
from my life because it's not a good exclusive. What else? What other exclusives? Help me. If they don't have a problem with exclusives, you should have no problem naming exclusives.
You don't like Halo.
Yeah, Halo, Gears of War, we already talked about. So
Halo, Gears of War, you don't like those two.
Let's whip out these numerous exclusives you have under your belt that are so good.
When did I say there was numerous exclusives?
You said they have good exclusives, right?
They did, but the ones I like, you've already shot down because you know the ones I'm going to say. You know I like Gears of War. You know I like Halo. So other than
those two, what are the other exclusives?
Ark is fun.
Ark is not exclusive.
Well, what is it on?
It's on PC, PS4.
That's all right. Well, if you're gonna go there,
to facts.
No, it's not facts. Microsoft is releasing games on PC.
Ark
people
is on PS4.
Listen, Windows is a Microsoft product.
Chris,
okay.
Do you realize Ark is on PS4?
It does not make Microsoft console weaker for them to release a game on the PC and on the Xbox. People like options. They like to either play on their TV or they like to play on their PC. So yeah, when a game is released on PC and Xbox, I still consider that an Xbox exclusive unless it's on PS4 or Nintendo as well.
Okay, now that you're done trying to deflect from my point is Ark is on PS4, so it's not an exclusive.
Said.
No, it is literally PC. What I said.
I thought you said PC.
No, you were too busy trying to defend yourself. I didn't get out the words PS4.
Anyways, it's a good game.
Burn. All right.
What's your next question?
No, for the topics? So, yeah, Sony's response, don't do anything, you're killing it. Xbox sucks. Should so much emphasis be put on AAA games? This is your topic.
You think yes, obviously.
You were so defensive.
Right? Am I right?
No, you're not right.
Okay, so...
Now, explain what you mean by so much emphasis. That's a pretty vague brush you're painting with.
Nick, anger. Don't be throwing phones. Don't give me that look. What was your question?
I'm just waiting for you to finish your topic about AAA games.
Oh yeah. So are AAA games given too much emphasis as far as
on what?
As far as rating a console. So PS4 is better because it has these exclusive. Xbox is worse because it doesn't have these exclusives. So exclusive games, are they the measuring stick?
Are we talking about exclusives or AAA games? Because those are two exclusively.
Let's talk AAA exclusives because that's what I think is kind of like a measuring stick for some people, right?
Yeah. Okay, so you're saying when making the choice of purchasing a console, should the amount of AAA exclusives be such a huge factor?
Not amount. Should AAA exclusives period be a measuring stick?
Yeah, like the quality and amount. Yeah.
AAA titles.
Okay. Yeah, of course. Because now you look at, like, we're going back to what we were just saying with the PS4 and Xbox One is if they're so close specs-wise, all it comes down to is exclusives at that point. Like, if you really don't care about the extra $100 you're paying for the Xbox and you really don't care about the less powerful system and you really just want an Xbox, what it comes down to then is what games are exclusive to that console that you want more. So yeah, of course, AAA games exclusives are and they should always be a huge factor when deciding what consoles to buy. Like, I knew we had The Last of Us, which I hadn't played. I knew we had Uncharted, which I hadn't played. So that really was a big factor in me going that way. Because I know The Last of Us ain't going to be over for this entire video game cycle. They're going to make Last of Us 2, probably 3. So I know those are trains I want to be on. I want to jump on that shit and stay on with those guys because I don't particularly care for the Xbox ones.
Well, I definitely think that the games are the reason why you should choose your console.
Yeah.
Yep.
And AAA games, yeah, that's AAA games is included. When I'm choosing about what to pick a console, I couldn't give two shits about what indie games are coming out on each
My whole point, though, is that AAA, as far as AAA exclusive titles to the console, I don't sit there at home and find myself mostly playing AAA exclusives. Do you?
No, I find myself playing AAA games. Yeah, exclusives not as much.
No, exclusives. I'm talking like exclusive. Do you find yourself mostly playing exclusives?
No, because exclusives...
Because that's the measuring stick.
No, it's not. Because exclusives, Sony or Microsoft or Nintendo can't be putting out exclusives every month. They can't be putting out exclusives every month. So yeah, I'm only going to play one or two exclusives a year. So yeah, per capita, I'm spending way more time playing these indie games because there's 9,000 of them released every Tuesday.
That's my point.
So your point is you prefer quantity over quality. Because that's what you're just saying. You're saying indie games they're the better. They're more important than the AAA games because I'm usually playing an indie game. That's what you're saying. I'm saying you're usually playing an indie game because there's so many more indie games than there are AAA games.
Out of 10 AAA exclusive games, there may be one or two that may fit me and what I like and my personal playstyle. However, if there's 50 to 100 of the other multi-plat games, whatever, there's going to be many more that are going to interest me in that group. Okay, this is all about what I'm going to be playing and how much I'm going to be playing it. You know, an exclusive title is only worth it to me if there's major replayability. If I spend $60 to beat a game in 4 days, that game should not have been a measuring stick for my console at all. And
so
that is my only
you
point.
don't value the experience; you value the longevity of the product.
Oh, the experience as well.
Because I would easily trade the experience I had playing Horizon for the entire year I spent playing Black Ops online.
The what? I'm sorry, can you say that again?
I said I would easily trade the experience I got from playing Horizon for 45 hours. That I would gladly trade that for the experience I had playing Call of Duty Black Ops online for a year. You know what I mean? Because the quantity of that Black Ops was not better than the quality of Horizon. So it sounds like that's why I'm saying it sounds like you're arguing quantity over quality.
I'm arguing the fact that these are the games I play.
And I'm saying that those are the games you play, not because that you like them more. It's just because there's more of them.
No,
so you're naturally
I like games that last longer.
Are we talking about indie games or games that last longer?
Games, all games, like AAA exclusives or whatever. You know, sometimes you're paying $60 for a very cinematic experience that lasts about as long. I mean, and that's supposed to be the measuring stick for what console I'm gonna buy?
Yeah, and the reason being is because all those indie games are going to be on both consoles anyways. Those non-AAA games are going to be on both consoles anyway.
I just find it hard to justify,
there's a small
spending. What? Go ahead.
There is a small, very small handful of non-AAA games that are exclusive to one or the other console, and they're usually not fucking system sellers anyways. They're not killer apps anyway.
I could care less, honestly, if they sell systems. That's a fanboy mindset in my opinion. What's selling what's gonna sell what, like the game like we were just talking about, Slime Rancher, right? Is that on PS4? Is it?
Oh no, it's coming to PS4, but it's not on PS4 yet.
Okay. Games like that are, like you said, on both systems, not big titles or anything, but this is the game that I'm excited to go back and play.
Yeah, and you would have that feeling regardless of the console you owned. So that's why I'm saying what matters in the end is those AAA exclusives, because no matter which console you buy, you're going to play Slime Rancher, you're going to play Cooking Mama, you're going to play Overcooked.
I just don't think there's enough of them to justify, it being the measuring stick. There's not enough of them that come out.
How many should come out? Or is there just not enough that you like?
Maybe this is just me being, the entitled gamer, like we were talking about.
It sounds like to me like you've just extremely narrowed what you think is worthwhile in gaming.
We spend a lot, man. As gamers, we spend a lot of money, and for me to completely get hyped up over one game or spend so much money over one console because of one game, and then I only actually end up playing that game for maybe a month. No, and that's a lot of AAAs.
So you don't think $60 is a fair trade for a month's worth of entertainment?
It's not just $60, bro.
What is it?
It's, first of all, the console, of course. Say you're starting from scratch.
But you're not including the console in your price of your video game. Well, so you already own the console.
If you were choosing the console based on the game, like that's kind of where I was going, right?
Sure.
Okay, so you're buying the game, you're buying the console, you got to buy internet service. We talked about this on the last podcast. You got to buy internet service, you got to buy Xbox Live or PSN or whatever. So it's not just, and you're paying this monthly, for the service, for your internet service, for the Xbox service, and then the price of the game, not to mention DLC that they sometimes charge for.
But I'm not including that in the price of a video. That's like saying every time I buy a video game, I spent $600.
No, I meant like a first time around, like a reason for purchasing a console. Yeah. Okay. So say I already have the console.
Oh no! Let's go with what you were saying. Saying it's your first time buying the console. If it's someone's first time buying the console, they're not going to buy the 20-hour experience. If they're only buying the console in one game, they're going to buy the online game that is going to keep giving back to them.
Well, they're probably going to have the game that comes with it.
Yeah, but if they're going to buy a game with it, they're going to buy an online game more than likely. The very first game I bought with my PlayStation wasn't Killzone, it was Battlefield 4. Because that game gives you more.
A lot of people would say they might value single-player experiences because...
Yeah, a lot of people are that way, yeah.
A lot of the country doesn't have internet.
Well, not only that they don't have internet super fast enough, but a lot of people I value single-player experiences over multiplayer experiences, and I live with great internet. I like to be immersed in a story, and I can't feel immersed if I'm running around shooting people in Call of Duty. There's absolutely no immersion in those types of games for me. The closest game that comes that close to me is Battlefield 1, but that's just because it's such a good mix of audio and you kind of get immersed in that game. But even that game I don't play for long stints.
Yeah, but I can find games that are, running around Call of Duty, yeah.
So to put a cap on this topic, should there be so much emphasis on AAA exclusives when buying a new console? I say yes, you say no. Is that where we're at? Okay. Good talk. Next topic.
Did you trick me?
No?
Yes. That is my position.
All right.
Next.
Moving on. I want to give a big shout out to a director, James Wan. Do you know who he is?
No, I don't. Well, yes, I do, actually.
I came across him the first time when watching the movie Saw. He directed Saw. It's one of my favorite psychological thrillers of all time. He went on to direct the Conjuring movies, Annabelle, there's a couple of those. He went on to direct Fast and Furious 7, a lot of other really good movies. Have you seen any of those?
Yes, I have.
Have you seen Dead Silence?
Is that with a puppet?
Yeah, with the ventriloquist puppet. I watched that yesterday again. Such a good movie.
I saw it in City Walk. It was crazy.
Yeah, so I wanted to give a quick shout out to James Wan. If you're out there, Big Juan. Big Juan. Just know I love you. Keep banging out those sweet ass movies. I'm watching every one of them. Let's get Dead Silence 2 all up in here.
Nothing coming out.
What was that? Does he have anything? Oh, yeah, he does actually have a lot of good stuff going out. If I'm going to shout out to him, I guess I should plug his coming up projects, huh? Just telling him I love him. All right, so looking up here, James Wan, he's directing Aquaman. He is directing... What else he got coming up? I think Aquaman might be the only one upcoming.
That's a big title.
Yeah, and that's a big title. Oh, The Nun, which is a scary movie.
Wow, that looks creepy.
It looks very scary. It's a spin-off of Insidious, which he also directed. So he's an awesome director. I'm a big fan of all of his movies. Go check him out. Look him up on Google. My favorite movie of his has got to be Saw. If you haven't seen it, go see it. It's a mind fuck. Second favorite movie, Fast Furious 7. Best Fast movie. Have you seen them all? Did you drop off at Tokyo Drift?
I didn't watch the very first one. I'm not a car movie person.
You're not a Vin Diesel person?
No, not at all. Those movies have zero appeal to me.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry.
I watched the first and second one, and then I fell off after that. But
Saw. Saw's legit.
Saw is awesome. I won't spoil it in case someone hasn't seen it. Came out like 10 years ago. But the ending is so good, and you won't see it coming if you haven't seen it.
Good film.
Good film. One last topic for the day before we pack it in. Chris, is fast traveling in video games immersion breaking to you, or is it a completely necessary game mechanic?
It's not completely necessary, and it's not immersion breaking.
So just in the middle?
Well, no, I mean, I guess it depends on the game if it's completely necessary, right?
Yeah, like for instance, The Witcher 3. It would literally take me 45 minutes to run from one side of the map to the other.
Maybe that's what some people want.
So maybe it's a necessary evil.
But I like that you have the option.
Yeah, you gotta have the option.
So if you have the option, then who cares?
And everyone's gonna use it. Like even those people that swear that they don't use fast travel because they want to be immersed in they use fast travel.
Yeah,
it's good to have it there. It's good to have it as an option. But it's a necessary evil, I think.
Yeah. I had to use it in Slime Rancher the other day.
I've never used it yet.
It's like suicide, basically. I got stuck in between a tree and a wall or something, and I could not get out. So I had to use the emergency exit option, and takes all your stuff. Kills you,
basically. Takes all your money.
Takes all your stuff, and tosses you back in your bed.
Slime Rancher, the crossplay game of the week.
Yes.
Go buy it for free $99 right now on Xbox Live Gold.
There will be Let's Plays.
Oh, there will be Let's Plays. Guys, speaking of that, let us know what you want to see us play. Right now on Crossplay Entertainment YouTube channel, we're doing 2 Let's Plays a day. So please make sure to go subscribe. Talk to us on Twitter. Let us know what you want to see us play. If you got any questions, we'll answer them here on the podcast. Guys, this has been another episode of the Crossplay Podcast. I have been Nicky James.
I'm Chris.
We will see you guys next Tuesday for episode 6. Bye.
Later.